Yo, what's good with y'all boys, man? We're back with another video for y'all today. Today's video is gonna be broken into two different parts. The first part, we're gonna be breaking down the sample we're gonna be using in the final beat, and then the second part, we're gonna actually take the sample, flip it, and then put drums on it. So yeah, man, I hope you guys do enjoy and learn something new. Make sure you guys subscribe. We need like 50 more subs to get to 2K. Make sure you guys leave a like, share the video, comment any video ideas, and last but not least, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram. It's at the bottom of the screen right now. Let's get straight to it. So this is the sample I'm gonna be breaking down. So the first sound I pulled up was of course a piano, and I pulled up the Noir felt piano and I used the tape echo preset. As you can tell, this preset already kind of has like its own delay in it. So this is the first melody I laid down, and it was extremely simple. I first just laid down this very simple repetitive pattern. Some bass notes down here, a simple repetitive catchy pattern, and then a little switch up at the end. When making Lil Baby melodies, I always like to leave a pattern in there that does not change at all, but then making sure the bass notes keep moving, then adding a top melody. So after that, I added this top melody right here. And this really kind of captured that emotional feeling to it and really fill in those empty gaps and make the melody not seem as like repetitive and boring. And since the piano already had a delay, I kind of decided to add my own delay. As you can tell right here, I just chopped the note up, and then down here with the velocities, I made it fade out. That was basically it, a very simple catchy pattern. After that, for the effects, it was very simple as well. Just ambience reverb, just the stock preset, just turn the mix down by like 10%, and then an EQ, just taking out the lows, and same down here, taking out lows as well. I added a halftime, just the regular preset. It's off right now, but later in the sample I did turn it on. So as you can see here, later in the sample I do add another piano. It's still the same sound, I just changed the MIDI up. So it may look a lot more complex since there's a lot more octaves being used and a lot more notes, but it's still the exact same pattern. So what I first did was these notes that are highlighted red were originally down an octave like this. And if I copy the original pattern, you can see it's literally the exact same notes. All I did was I changed up the top melody. So the notes are the exact same. All I did to kind of get more variety is I would highlight every other half except the bass notes down here, and I'll just pitch it up an octave, and that's literally all I did. After that, the next two sounds I added were very simple. I just added them to kind of capture more like ambience and fill up the whole sample. The first sound I added was some X-Band. I went to the simple arpeggiators category, and I selected the 0 to 100 preset. It's extremely simple. I'm just following the notes from the last melody. For the effects, all I added was ambience reverb, and the EQ down here, I just turned on the lows and raised the highs, and I panned it a tiny bit to the left. I did make this sound very quiet just so it's kind of tucked in the background, but you can still feel it and hear it in the full sample. And then the last sound I added was from Contact, and it's from the Choir Essentials, and I selected the Children Performance. Like I said again, I just used the same notes from the previous melody to kind of guide me to make this counter melody. It's still very, very simple. It just really helped to add a lot of ambience in the background and cover the highs for the sample. For the effects, I just added, again, ambience reverb. I just turned the mix knob down. Pancake, so it's panning left and right, 2 bars. I just turned the mix knob down, and then Fruity Stereo Enhancer, I just selected the 4 strings preset so it could sound more wide. And then an EQ, just taking out the lows, lowering the mids, and lowering the highs. And then I tucked it in the background a lot, and I panned this one to the right since the last sound was panned to the left, just so the piano's in the middle, one sound's to the right and then one sound is to the left, you know, kind of making the whole sample sound a lot more full. And that was basically it. The last sound I added, which is not really a new sound, I just manipulated the piano, was this little wave down here. This is also very simple. I just exported the original piano and I just pitched it down an octave. then I reversed it. And that was basically it. I did add some effects on here as well. The main effect I added was Portal. I went to the Cypher Portal Bank and I selected the Under the Bridge preset. Now I turned the wet knob all the way up in Portal, but on the mixer I turned it down so it wasn't taking over the full sample. And then everything else was pretty basic, just ambience reverb, turning the mix knob down so the sound is not so dry, and then one EQ taking out the lows, raising the highs, and the second one just taking out more lows. And like I mentioned earlier, in the second to last half I added this halftime, and then I just turned up the volume. That's what these two automation clips are for. That was basically it. On the master, you guys already know the drill. I just added a EQ just to clean up the final sample, lowering the lows, lowering the mids, and raising the highs for the sound more clean. Then a limiter just to raise the volume. I boosted it up a lot since it was very quiet. And then I exported it. I did not reverse it. I did not mess with the pitch or anything. I liked it just like that. It was very simple yet hard. And that's the number one thing I want you guys to take away from this section of the video. But other than that, that's it for this section. But now it's time to flip the loop and add some drums on it. So I'll see you guys in the next section.
Anyways, yeah, man, today we're gonna be taking the sample and flipping it and making a whole beat out that jump. Where's the loop at? Get that loop. Let's get the loop in here. First things first, I always route it to a mixer track and I take out the lows. Now before we lay some drums on it, we're gonna flip the sample and try to come up with something new. Now before I start messing with the sample, I'm gonna make sure this mode is on stretch, not resample, so the pitch of the sample does not change. Alright, so all I did to flip the sample was I first reversed it. So like I said, I put the mode in stretch so the pitch does not move at all. And then after I reversed it, I went up here and I selected stretch so I could shorten the sample. And all I did was I grabbed the edge of the sample and I cut it in half, so it's like double the speed. Since the BPM was 170, I feel like that was too fast, so I just cut the sample short and I turned the BPM down to like 138. In today's video, I'm gonna be using a different drum kit. I'm gonna be using my boy Cutoff's multi-kit. So first, I'm gonna just pick some sounds and then lay down a very simple foundation. I'm gonna use one of these midis in here called Pain Delay, and I'm gonna just switch it up a little bit. So like this pattern right here, I'm gonna just copy it for the whole thing. What's giving these hi-hats a lot of bounce is the velocity, as you guys see down here. Velocity is all over the place, which is really giving it that bounce. Most of the times with my 808, I always turn up the EQ and then I just turn the out knob up. And with all my samples, I always label the BPM and the key, and right here it says it's C sharp minor. But we gotta remember that the loop is reversed, so the 808s and the bass notes are gonna be flipped as well. So instead of it starting at C sharp, it's gonna start at A, and then it's gonna come in at C sharp. So now this is a very basic foundation. Now I'm gonna go in and tweak everything. And just like I did with the hi-hats, I'm also mess with velocity on the 808s as well to capture more bounce. Now with the kick, I do a similar process with the 808. I turn the boost up. I like to have my 808 a little more complex, and then I have the kick be extremely simple. As you can see, the kick is not always hitting when the 808 hits. Sometimes I give like a brief space. Now the beat is basically done. I'm gonna just go in and add a little more perks to kind of fill in the gaps. Now now that I got all the drums laid out, I'm gonna route them to the mixer track. Let's highlight all of them, and I'm gonna go on 5, which is where I usually always start, and then I do Control Shift L. It's gonna route them all from 5 all the way to 13. Now for the mixing process with my drums, I don't do much. All I do is I level them on the channel rack. I already have the highs raised on the master, whether I'm doing drums or making a sample. I do want to add a little bit of reverb on the hi-hat, just so it doesn't sound so dry. I have a preset on here called hi-hat, and it's just a regular preset, just the stereo separation is a little bit to the left, and I have the wet knob, the 13. And then I also want to add a delay to the cowbell. And then last but not least, everything's pretty much done. I'm gonna just add loop radar on the hi-hat. So now I have this basic arrangement to make the beat not sound as boring and as repetitive. I added some little gaps in between to give the listener a break from the drums. Now I'm gonna kind of add some switch ups to the loop. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna do create automation clip, and I'm gonna make a certain part of the beat go down an octave and then up an octave. So now I'm gonna just add some transitions in between the beat. That's pretty much it, man. Very simple. But yeah, man, I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did, make sure you guys leave a like. It really does help support the video a lot. Comment any video ideas in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys subscribe. And we're almost at 2K. I think we need like 50 more subs, so we're right around the corner. But yeah, man, I have something real special coming for 2K. But other than that, I appreciate you guys for all the support lately, and I'll see you guys in the next video.